how much does this put pressure on the price of oil? We're already seeing other factors from demand to OPEC and potential curbs going away affecting the price. So what happens? It's caught between a rock and a hard place here.
Yeah, good afternoon and good morning, Vonnie. That's right. This is the second attack in 3 days on Saudi oil assets that we've seen. Today, they did close down the main cross-country pipeline that brings oil from the eastern oil fields to western refineries and export facilities there. So with something of that magnitude, you would expect oil to jump. Now, the reaction was a little bit muted towards the beginning of this week when there were those attacks in the UAE waters where 2 Saudi tankers were attacked. So the market is really weighing the risk to supply and the real geopolitical risk against other things like the situation with tariffs between the U.S. and China, like the issues around global growth. So if global growth really slows down, that's going to hurt some oil demand. But here, if we do have some tangible oil taken off the market, that's definitely going to be a big risk to oil, especially as we've already got limited volumes coming out of Iran and Venezuela, among other countries, Vonnie.
Anthony, can I link what has happened today with these 2 attacks on the Aramco facilities with what happened earlier on in the week, over the weekend into Monday, around the Straits of Hormuz? These pipelines have excess capacity within them of around 1.5 million barrels a day. They provide an option for maybe lifting cargoes through the Gulf of Aden, out of the Red Sea, through the Gulf of Aden, and therefore not having to access the Straits of Hormuz. But if I was kind of coordinating these 2 things, this may be one thing that I would think about. Can I join the dots?
Yeah, I think that in looking at the market, oil risks in the oil market, geopolitical risks, you've got to look at those 2 together. Whether we can say that the same actors were involved here or who's responsible, we're not at that point yet. So far, the UAE and Saudi authorities haven't directly pointed the finger at Iran for the Sunday incidents involving the tankers. The Saudi energy minister today was indicating Iran and the Houthi rebels as potential sponsors of terror. So we are seeing more of an indication that they're looking in that direction. But yeah, I mean, you've got to look at those 2 together. There is a lot of spare capacity on that pipeline in Saudi Arabia, so there's not a huge amount of export coming out of that pipeline at the moment, but that is another option. That pipeline has a full capacity of about 5 million barrels a day. That's versus about 7 million barrels a day of total Saudi crude exports. So that pipeline couldn't make up for all the exports if the Strait of Hormuz, that's at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, if that were to be closed, but at least it would keep a sizable portion of that back on the market. That's the way we had looked at things up until now, and now we see this first effective attack on that pipeline closing some of that capacity. So that is a risk, yes, Guy.